the first time I've spoken today. Out loud. There's a cat. What's that cat doing? Only on Quarantine Cuisine. Well, for real, what is that cat doing? All right. Hello everyone, my name is Sam and welcome to episode 4 of Quarantine Cuisine. Earlier this year, I made a New Year's resolution to grow more. I want to grow more physically, like I want to become taller. I don't know how to do that, but in 2020 I would like to break 6 foot because 5'11" is garbage. And since science hasn't been able to make me bigger, I decided to shrink my world and decided to take Quarantine Cuisine on the road, and I rented a tiny house. And everything here is tiny. There's a tiny coffee pot, there's tiny mason jars, there's even a tiny house inside the tiny house. So I decided to make the biggest episode yet. Turn the air conditioner off. Shh! Be quiet! I turned you off. Thank you. So, I decided to make the biggest episode yet. So today, we'll be accomplishing 3 things. We'll make a big dish, we'll make a big cocktail, and then we'll go to the question corner and answer some big questions. So, let's start cooking. Since I'm on vacation, I decided to make a big dish. And there's only one dish that represents big, and that is steak. So, every doofus out there has their own way of making their steak. And this doofus has his new favorite way, which is instead of seasoning the steak, I will season my cutting board. And I know some of you say, Sam, you sound crazy. And I'm going to say, well, that's rude. Just because I have a different way of doing things doesn't make me crazy. What makes me crazy is the fact that I think that Jeff Goldblum from day one went around going nuts. And then he gets on Jurassic Park, and then Dawn dish soap. Are you kidding me? Let's get real. Come on. And that's why Jeff Goldblum deserves to win an Oscar for Jurassic Park 2 Lost World. Call me crazy. For our big cocktail this week, we're taking some inspiration from the dude himself. We're going to whip up our version of the White Russian from the Big Lebowski. Normally you're supposed to use Kahlua for a White Russian, but I only have Bailey's. So you may say that this really isn't a White Russian, but that's just like, your opinion, man. Start by dumping out about a shot's worth of the Bailey's or Kahlua. Top it with a shot of vodka, and then just add a little heavy cream or half and half. Now, none of these ingredients should work together, but this is an all-time favorite cocktail, and it really is that easy to make. Now that we just got done doing whatever we just got done doing, let's head on over to the question corner. Come on, follow me. So, welcome to the question corner. Today, I'm only going to be answering one question because I'm on vacation and I don't want to do a whole lot of work. So, I'm only going to answer one big question, and that big question is about the 1988 feature film starring Tom Hanks, Big. And that question is, did I enjoy that movie? And the answer is, yeah, it was enjoyable. Was it believable? No. No, it was not believable. I mean, who just gets magically turned into an adult? Who wants to become an adult? No one. Being an adult sucks. Big. So that about does it for the question corner. Let's get back to cooking. I've got a decent New York strip here that I'm going to let come up to room temperature before cooking. Now, I made some seasoned butter, but I didn't film it because I decided to make this episode about 15 minutes before I started filming. But all I did there was finally chop some rosemary and thyme and mix it in with some softened butter. After it is well mixed, I put it back in the fridge to harden before I started cooking. I've got a ripping hot pan with a little bit of oil in it. First, I lay down the fat cap of the steak to render out some of that fat and get some nice browning. After brown, you'll lay down the steak and you'll cook for about 1 minute on each side or until you have really nice browning or you have a nice crust forming. Now, the reason I season my cutting board instead of my steak is that a lot of seasoning and flavor is lost when the steak is cooked, kind of like squeezing out a wet sponge. So the idea is after the steak cooks and begins to cool, it will soak up the flavors on the board so it's like a sponge reabsorbing that flavor. I'll pull the steak off and put it on the seasoned butter to rest for 10 minutes. Once rested, I'll cut up in small pieces and give it a toss in the leftover flavors. Now you can reheat the steak on a warm plate or just go to town on it straight off the cutting board. Give this different way of cooking a steak a try and let me know what you think. This is one of my favorite ways to cook a steak, and as you can tell, I ate it like a quarantine man. Just remember to stay safe, wash your hands, do your best to eat well.